Hello, everyone, and welcome back to today's episode. Let me ask you a quick question. Have you ever spoken English correctly, using the right words, but still felt like the other person reacted strangely? Maybe you said something polite in your language, but in English it sounded rude. Or maybe you thought you were being friendly, but the native speaker felt uncomfortable. That's what today's episode is about. Cultural mistakes in English that many learners don't even realize they are making. It's not about grammar, it's not about vocabulary, it's about culture, tone, and hidden rules of communication. By the end of this episode, you will learn the most common cultural mistakes English learners make, why they happen, and how to avoid them so you sound more natural and confident. So let's dive in. In many cultures, being direct is a sign of honesty. For example, you might say, "Give me water," "Close the window." And in your culture, that's fine, no problem. But in English, especially in American or British culture, this can sound too direct and almost rude. So instead, native speakers usually soften their requests. Like, "Could I have some water, please?" Or, "Would you mind closing the window?" Notice the difference? The grammar is longer, it takes more words, but the tone feels polite, respectful, and natural. So the first cultural mistake is forgetting to soften requests. Now let's talk about body language. In many countries, too much eye contact can feel aggressive or even disrespectful. But in English-speaking countries, especially the US, eye contact is a sign of confidence and honesty. If you avoid eye contact, people might think like maybe you're hiding something, or you're not confident, or you're not interested in the conversation. So the cultural mistake here is avoiding eye contact when speaking English. Here's a tip. You don't need to stare. Just look at the person's eyes for a few seconds, then look away, then back again. It creates a natural rhythm. Now, the next one is very common. In some cultures, saying no directly is considered rude. So people say yes even when they disagree. An example, a boss asks, "Can you finish this by tomorrow?" And the worker will say yes. But in reality, he knows it's impossible. In English-speaking countries, this can create big misunderstandings. Because when you say yes, people expect you mean yes. So what should you do? Learn polite ways to say no. Like, "I'm not sure I can finish by tomorrow. Could we extend the deadline?" Or, "I'd love to help, but I have too many tasks right now." This way, you're still polite, but you're also clear and honest. Another cultural mistake is saying sorry too much. In some countries, apologizing often is normal, but in English, especially American English, saying sorry for everything can make you sound insecure. You enter a room and say sorry. Someone bumps into you and you say sorry, instead of "excuse me" when you didn't do anything wrong. Save sorry for real mistakes. A correct example would be if you interpret "excuse me, may I ask you a question?" You make a mistake. "Sorry, I didn't mean to do that." This one is about physical distance. In some cultures, it's normal to stand very close to people when talking. But in English-speaking countries, people prefer more personal space, a bubble, if you will. If you stand too close, they may step back. Not because they don't like you, but because they feel uncomfortable. A rule of thumb is, in casual conversations, keep about an arm's length of distance. With strangers, even more. So the mistake is not respecting personal space. English speakers love humor, especially sarcasm. But sarcasm can be very tricky if you're not used to it. An example, someone says, "Oh great, another rainy day." They don't actually mean it's great. They mean the opposite. If you don't recognize sarcasm, you might take the words literally and misunderstand the meaning. So the mistake is missing hidden humor or sarcasm. Here's a tip. Pay attention to tone of voice and context. If the words in the situation don't match, it's probably sarcasm. Sometimes learners are too formal. Dear sir, may I kindly request your assistance in this matter? That might sound strange in casual conversation. Other times, learners are too casual, saying, "Hey dude," to a professor. The cultural mistake is not matching the level of formality. Here's the rule. With teachers, bosses, or strangers, be polite and slightly formal. With friends, casual is okay. In some cultures, interrupting shows excitement and engagement, but in English, interrupting too often is seen as rude. Instead, use small signals to show you want to speak. Raise your hand slightly, say "excuse me" or "may I add something." This way, you're part of the conversation without cutting people off. Many learners focus on serious English. But in English-speaking countries, small talk is very important. If you only talk about work or serious topics, people may feel you're unfriendly. So don't forget, weather, sports, weekend plans, movies, TV shows, all of this can lump under small talk. Small talk builds the connection, but it's not wasting time. It's just part of the culture. Finally, let's talk about tone. Sometimes learners use a flat tone, so they sound bored or uninterested. Other times, they use a very loud voice, which can sound aggressive. In English, tone carries a lot of meaning. Rising tone is a question. Falling tone, confidence. Friendly tone, people feel comfortable. So the mistake is not paying attention to tone of voice. So let's quickly recap the cultural mistakes English learners often make. 1. Being too direct. 2. Avoiding eye contact. 3. Saying yes too much. 4. Overusing apologies. 5. Ignoring personal space. 6. Missing sarcasm. And 7. Using the wrong formality. 8. Interrupting way too much. 9. Skipping small talk. And finally, 10. Using the wrong tone. Remember, fluent English is not just about words. It's about culture. If you can master these small cultural details, you will sound not just correct, but natural. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed it, please share it with a friend who's also learning English. And don't forget to follow, subscribe, and leave a comment with your own cultural experiences. See you in the next episode.